senior business leaders are meeting across Europe this week as part of the mission for the European Australian Business Council. One of those taking part is Vicki Thomson. She's the chief executive of the group of 8 universities. She joins me live now from Brussels. Vicki, thanks for your time. It must have been a difficult start, of course, the shock of the death of a much-loved Labor figure, but I know he was the chair of this organisation, of course, of which you're the deputy chair. A very difficult few days, no doubt.
Very difficult, Kieran. And just on the eve of the delegation, we had had a dinner on Saturday night. The delegation was due to start on Sunday morning, and of course, the very tragic news came through. So it's a huge loss, obviously, to all of us. And Simon was many things, but he was also an absolute strong advocate for trade liberalisation and the free trade agreement. And so we are here as a business delegation, really prosecuting that case, and we've lost a genuine champion in that regard. But at the very express wishes of Carol, Simon's wife, and his family, because we did consider, how do we actually go on, which is true for many people. Yeah. The decision was made to carry on at their wishes, because the best thing we can do is actually see this through. And so, yes, I am here with a very senior business delegation, including representatives from Defence. We have Air Marshal Angus Houston, the co-author of the Defence Strategic Review, with us. We've got representatives from Meat and Livestock Australia, agriculture, energy, infrastructure, and of course, I'm representing the research and innovation equation of the business sector and industry sector from Australia. We've had very good meetings in Germany, which were mainly defence related. And we've just arrived in Brussels to meet with members of the EU Parliament today.
Yeah, and rightly that you carry on, but as you said, Simon Crean, a big commitment that he's had over many, many years to our trade relations. Trade Minister, of course, from 2007 to 2010 as well. On the talks you're having, though, it comes at an interesting time, particularly in the context of the EU free trade agreement, where it's hit a bit of a hurdle, a stumbling block. How do you see the prospects there?
So we met yesterday with the Executive Vice President of the EU, Mr. Dombrovskis, and there is no doubt that, and I think, in fact, Don Farrell was here, I think, just in recent weeks, and I know you've spoken to him and to our Trade Minister and to Tim Ayres. There are still some stumbling blocks and there are still some hurdles, and I think, as the Minister has said, we are really the ballast to support the Australian government's endeavours in this. We all want a free trade agreement, but not at any cost. And there are some significant stumbling blocks, particularly around market access, particularly around that agricultural market access. And so we've got strong representation from the agriculture sector and from Meat and Livestock Australia, who are putting that case very strongly. We're literally about to, in fact, in the next few minutes, I'm heading down to meet with various members of Parliament who are, from various members of Parliament, as I say, from the European Union, to press the case once again. I think the importance for us, from our delegation, is to provide that support to government, but to send to the Australian government, but to send a very strong message to the members of the EU Parliament that this is a really important agreement as a platform to build on the very strong relationship we already have with the EU. But it's even more important now because of the very challenging geopolitical and strategic environment we're in. And of course, you see it very up close when you're here, as we are in Brussels and in Germany in the last 2 days, particularly with the Ukraine war literally on their borders. And so in many ways, and I think that's why we've got the defence aspect as well, Australia is lifting pretty heavily in that regard, and that is recognised, can I say. So we've still got a ways to go, but as I asked somebody yesterday who's much closer to this, I'm not a trade person, I don't profess to be, but, they gave it a kind of even money odds. So, there's all, and actually Mr. Dombrovskis said we're nearing the finish line. So I think we can say cup half full rather than half empty.
Okay, so still a chance. One thing you don't have to worry about when you get to the UK next week is is that because the deal has been done between Australia and the UK. You've got the AUKUS agreement as well. And I know that you're going to convene a roundtable with university colleagues on what's known as AUKUS Pillar 2. You've got the submarines, that's the AUKUS first pillar. The second one is those technology engagements between the three nations. How can our universities add to that?
So this is really going to underpin, if you like, an industrial change in our industrial landscape in these second this second pillar and these priorities. And so we are bringing together our university counterparts, but also senior defence people. And we've also got our High Commissioner, Stephen Smith, who is, of course, the other side of the coin. He co-authored the Defence Strategic Review with Angus Houston. It will really rest within our university sector and our industries and business to come together to work in those areas of artificial intelligence, advanced cybersecurity, hypersonics, etc. And so, we've seen today the release of university rankings, which is all well and good, and we've done excellently, can I say, across the Group of 8 in Australia generally. But why that's important is because that research and innovation that we will do in our universities has to happen at scale and depth. And that's where I think Australia's got the great benefit of having, I think 15 universities in the top 200, all of the 8 universities I represent in the top 100. That's an important sort of glue, if you like, to be able to work with our counterparts on those areas to support the development of AUKUS Pillar 2.
Yeah, on those QS World University Rankings, for people who might be tuning in, this is a pretty big story because for the first time, 3 Australian universities have been ranked in the top 20 worldwide. And the Australian National University, not far behind, in 34. So this is an incredible result, really, for our top unis.
It's fantastic. And it's a testament to all of the hard work that our researchers and academics do at our universities. But this is a good story for our universities, of course, but this is a really good story for Australia, for our economy. We've got a quality product here in terms of what we are where we are in the world scale. And I think it's that which makes it so much easier when you're intersecting here in Europe as we are. We're also heading to Stockholm and visiting universities and innovation precincts there with the business delegation. And if I just circle right back to Simon Crean, where we started, the very strong thing that Simon brought to the European Australian Business Council, but also more broadly, he was a former Minister for Trade, but he was also a former Minister for Education. And he understood very clearly the very strong link between universities, business and industry. And I think that's the important part of our dialogue here and in the UK. And of course, sort of the cherry on top, the lovely timing that we've got is that we've now got 8 universities in Australia in the top 100, which is just fantastic news for us.
Indeed. Big day for the university sector. I appreciate you joining us. The Chief Executive of the Group of 8, Vicki Thomson, live from Brussels. Thanks.
Thanks, Kieran.